Okay, good morning. This will be a demonstration of the graded activity we're going to do where we're going to fly around the VFR traffic pattern at Key West using our radio call signs, and we're going to take off. We're going to turn crosswind, downwind, base, and we're going to come back to a full stop landing, and that'll basically be the activity before takeoff. When you load the simulator up, you're going to be on the runway with the engines running. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do your before takeoff checklist. We'll skip that for the video, but you need to make sure that your heading indicator, your altimeter setting is correct. Set your heading bug on your runway heading, and make sure that your heading indicator is set. ATIS does work on this, and so the frequency is there. We'll assume that Mr. Bowen has already done ATIS, and we'll assume that he's also done his before takeoff check, including his mag check. So he's going to take off. He's going to climb runway heading to about 500 feet. He's going to climb at VY, which is 67 knots. At 500 feet, he'll do a left turn to crosswind. At 1,000 feet, he'll turn left to downwind, and we'll just proceed around the pattern. And with that intro, you may begin the scenario there, Mr. Bowen. Okay.
Skyhawk 224 Romeo is ready for takeoff, runway 27.
Skyhawk 224 Romeo, winds 270 at 4, cleared for takeoff, runway 27.
Runway 27 cleared for takeoff, Skyhawk 224 Romeo.
Okay, good rotation at about 60 knots. And it looks like it's going to be maybe 5 or 6 degrees on the attitude indicator to try to maintain your VY 67 or 76 knots. All right, there's 250 feet. Airspeed's looking good, just a little high, not too bad. Coming up on 400 feet, when he gets to 500 feet, he's going to turn left to his crosswind. So here he goes into his left crosswind turn. And at this point, a really easy way to help yourself stay oriented in this pattern is to look at your heading bug. This is the orange bug that you set on the runway heading. So this is a 90-degree left turn. And so when he rolls out on his crosswind, that heading bug should be at right 3 o'clock. There he is. Okay, he's coming up on 1,000 feet, a little bit more to go. He's going to go ahead and turn to his downwind heading. There we go. Okay, now as he's leveled off at 1,000 feet, watch his airspeed. You'll see his airspeed start to increase. Still at full power, that's fine. He's trimming. Trim is a big, big part of this. And he's rolling out with a heading bug down at the 6 o'clock index on his heading indicator. You'll notice off to the left here, that is Key West Naval Air Station. That is not where we're going, okay? So he's at 1,000 feet, he's on downwind now, everything's looking good, and he's pulled his throttle back to maintain about 100 knots on downwind, okay? Everything's looking good. He's thinking ahead, trying to get ahead of the airplane. What's next is before landing checklist. We won't go through that step by step, okay? And at this point, if we want to look over here, since you can't see the runway in the simulator, in the real airplane, you would be looking over your left shoulder to judge how far off the end of the runway you are. And so we're looking here, and it is not cheating to look on this map. The other thing we can look at here is his DME. He's dialed in the VOR DME frequency, and so he's at about 4.5 DME right now, and he's pretty close to where he's going to turn base now. And I'll let him make his own decision on his base turn, but I'd say he's getting pretty close to that now. better delay that and give yourself a little longer final than to turn too soon and get jammed in. So, all right, here he comes. He's turning base. Go ahead and give me a base call.
Skyhawk 224 Romeo, left base runway 2747.
Skyhawk 224 Romeo winds 270 at 4. Cleared to land, runway 27.
Cleared to land, runway 27, so 224 Romeo.
Okay, he's letting his airspeed start to decay on his base turn. And over here you can see he's 90 degrees to runway heading. He's at about 5.1 DME. That's going to give him a nice long final. And now he's turning final. And here in just a second, we should start to see the runway come into view on the left side of the screen there. And there's the runway in the airfield. So he's got a pretty nice long final, and he overshot a little bit. In the airplane, you would probably not do that because you would realize that a lot sooner, but you can't see in the simulator. So this is totally fine. And you'll notice what he's doing here is he's turning back to the left to get back on final, okay? So he's going to correct that overshoot, get lined up with the runway, and he started to head on down. Okay, his airspeed is now down below his flap extension speed, and he can go ahead and put some flaps down if he chooses. It is an option, but I think most people are going to want to do a full flap. And why are we not seeing the PAPI lights? That's weird. Okay, normally there's something going on in the simulator. Normally the PAPI lights will be visible at this point for him to judge his glide path, and they're not on for some reason. They should be on when you fly this profile. And at this point, he's cleared to land, he's got his flaps down, he's just watching his airspeed and his glide path. He's coming on down to flare. He's on the runway, he's smoothly coming onto the brakes, bringing the airplane to a stop, and flaps are coming up. And that is the end of the profile. So practice it a few times. We will be doing this for a grade at some point this 9 weeks.